إن الحمد لله تعالى نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا إنه من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. ثم أما بعد. We talked in different khutbah, in previous khutbahs about the values of Islam, قيم الإسلام العظمى, the great values of Islam. And we mentioned الرحمة, mercy, حسن الخلق, the good manners, and the third one we talked about the collective work, العمل الجماعي, how to work together. And today inshallah we'll continue our discussion and we'll talk about the fourth one, which is al-adl, justice. And what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses in the Quran, al-mizan, the balance, the scale. And subhanallah, the Quran wants from us to understand the value of justice through the mental image of scale, of mizan, that we see every day, but that we use in our life. And by establishing the mizan, you will establish justice. And if you want to be just, you have to be having this practice of mizan, whatever in the moral practice or values or in the practical actions that we do in our life. So Islam is talking all the time about justice and al-adl, or adl and balance, or al-mizan. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the great surah of Surah Al-Rahman يقول سبحانه وتعالى الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان. If you notice, he mentioned the mizan 3 times. Subhanallah, repeating 3 times, and repeating in Quran or in any text you read, just to emphasize on the value of the something that you are repeating. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most merciful, taught the Quran, created man and taught him eloquence. Al-bayan, they have different tafsir, could be how to talk the language, how to express yourself, or the bayan, the difference between halal and haram, whatever allowed or permissible or prohibited. So this could be the bayan, the different meaning of the bayan according to the mufassirin. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talk about the sun and the moon moved by precise calculations. The moon and sun is moving according to very accurate and calculated precision. And stars and trees prostrate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the heaven he raised and imposed the balance, that you not transgress within the balance, and establish weight in justice, and don't make deficient the balance. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking in the Quran about the balance. And the beautiful ayat will take us from universal action that we see every day. We see the moon, we see the sun, and now we learn that everyone running in an orbit, and subhanallah, it has this orbit running very accurately. In this orbit, they don't collide, they don't crash with each other, because everything is very precisely calculated. It has a mizan. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us this, and we all accept this. So say if you accept this, so when you deal on earth, when you do any action, when you sell and buy, when you do any treatment with other people, when you behave, when whatever you do, you have to do it according to this mizan. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the Quran, is engraving in our hearts and mind the concept of justice through phenomena that we see in the stars, in the sky, through the moon, sun, and other stars. And even we see in the trees the balance between different lives on earth. Everything, subhanallah, run according to the balance. And if something goes beyond certain limit, the whole life will vanish and disappear. So everything has to work according to the balance of the creation, or the physics, or the laws that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put on earth. So if we accept this, then when we deal with each other, we have to deal with balance. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also remind us, Allah tadghaw fil mizan. Don't over exceed, don't exceed the limit, don't go over the limit, because every time you go above the limit, this will collapse, this will destroy any system you have. The same way when you have the two sides of a scale or mizan, and you put more weight on one side, it will go down. So don't exceed, don't overweight. You have to have this idea all the time in your mind. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminding us in Surah Al-Rahman with this concept. And again in Surah Al-Hadid, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminding us, لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلَنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْمِيزَانِ لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have already sent our messengers with clear evidences, and sent down with them the scripture, the kitab, Quran, the Injil, the Bible, and the Torah, the kitab that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to mankind, and the balance and the mizan. Allah revealed down, Allah brought down to us the mizan, لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ, so the people will maintain and establish justice and al-adl. Again, subhanallah, the same image repeated in different surah, just to have it in our mind. When we read the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding all the time about the mizan. So when you establish the rules of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have the kitab and you have the rusul, and they came with the mizan. So al-adl, justice, is to implement what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to do. So everything will be with mizan. You give with the mizan, you take with the mizan, you say with the mizan, you act with the mizan. As long as you have this concept in your life, inshallah, you will have the balance and you will be able to achieve justice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this as examples of the dunya. But in the same time, He reminds us that there's another mizan. That mizan al-akhirah. There is a balance for hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, فَمَنْ ثَقُلَتْ مَوَازِينُهُ أي فِي الْآخِرَةِ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. And the weighing of the good deeds that day will be the truth. So those whose their scale are heavy are the true successful. What happened with people all the time? We relate to dunya and we forget about akhirah. And subhanallah, the beauty about Islam, that it has a balance between dunya and akhirah. It reminds you, with dunya, you have to work hard, you have, but in the same time, don't forget the akhirah. And it will encourage you to work about akhirah, Jannah, and paradise, and whatever in it. In the same time, will remind you not to ignore the dunya. And this beautiful balance, Rasulullah sallam mentioned in many hadith. And this is very important, that the hadith Rasulullah sallam, that the two hadith that very important, and I know we hear them all the time, but repeating is important about these concepts. That the three young men that went to the house of Rasulullah asking about his ibadah, فَكَأَنَّهُمْ تَقَالُوهَا. They ask his wife sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his servant, how many times he worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what he do for his ibadah. And when they told him, they said, this is very little. And you know what they thought? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave Rasulullah for all his sins, the previous one and the future one, he doesn't pray too much. Out of their little understanding, they thought Rasulullah is not praying too much. Rasulullah, and one of them said, I make promise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I will fast every day and I will not break my fast. Every day I will fast. And the second one said, I will not touch women, I will not marry women. And the third one, I said, I would pray every night and I will not stop doing this. So Rasulullah heard about them and he called them. He said, يعني, I fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than you. إني أتقاكم لله. يعني no one will know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better than Rasulullah. And no one will fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala better than Rasulullah. And he said, أما أنا فأصوم وأفطر وأقوم وأنام وأنكح النساء فمن رغب عن سنتي فليس مني. For me, I pray and sleep. I fast and break my fast. Like I fast 2 days and I eat for 5 days. And I marry women. And whoever turn away from my sunnah, whoever don't follow me, he doesn't belong to me. This great hadith to teach us the balance. There is nothing more important than praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah said, pray and sleep. Fasting Ramadan. We love Ramadan. You know, the emotion and the spirit of Ramadan is so amazing and good that we want Ramadan to be the whole year. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make Ramadan 1 month. And 11 months, do whatever you want. And this is the balance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what happened with these young men, the believers, they have strong belief, they have problem with their understanding. That they going out of balance. This is a problem. It's not about they are praying or not, or fasting or not. They are going out of balance. And when you go out of balance, something will go wrong. The other beautiful hadith that, you know, when the Muhajirin and Ansar, when the Muhajirin went to Mecca, went to Medina, Rasulullah akha bayn al-Muhajirin and Ansar. Rasulullah made brotherhood between one from Mecca and one from Medina, so they help them to establish their new life, or for any other reason. You know, it's good to have all the time a good brother that you rely on him when you are stuck somewhere. So Rasulullah akha bayn Salman al-Farisi wa Abi Darda. Salman from Mecca, even from Persia, but he's considered lived in Mecca, he's part of Mecca, and Abu Darda from Medina. So they had this brotherhood, so they can visit each other with no limits. So Salman went to Abu Darda and saw him. So, and he saw his wife mubtadala. Yani he saw, maybe this is before the hijab, so he's not having good clothes, you know, just she doesn't look good. So he told him, ma sha'nuk, what's wrong with you? She said, yani, your brother Abu Darda, he has no interest in dunya. He's busy with his worshipping of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's so righteous person. He has no need for me. So Abu Darda came and made some food to his brother. And he told him, Kul. So Salman, when he invited Abu Darda to eat, Abu Darda said, I'm fasting today. So Salman insisted, you have to eat. I will not eat without you eating with me. So he forced him to break his fast. And they ate together. And then at night, Abu Darda went to sleep. And Salman went to sleep. But at night, Abu Darda started to wake up to pray. And Salman told him, stay. Continue sleeping a little bit. So every time he wanted to stand up to pray, he said, wait. And then at the end of the night, maybe 1 hour before the Fajr or 2 hours, he stood up, he said, okay, let's pray together. So they prayed together for 1 hour or one and a half hour. And then after that, Salman told him this golden rule. فقال له سلمان إن لربك عليك حقا وإن لنفسك عليك حقا وإن لأهلك عليك حقا فأعط كل ذي حق حقا. Salman said to Abi Darda, Allah, your Lord, your Rabb, has a right upon you. And yourself, your body, you as human, whatever your spiritual need, your physical needs have a right upon you. Yourself has a right upon you. And your family, your wife, your kids, your friends, has a right upon you. And give each one his rights. Meaning, establish the balance. The balance between your relation with Allah, your relation with yourself, and the relation with your family. So, and they went to Rasulullah, and Abu Darda after that went to Rasulullah, فذكر له, and he told him what happened between him and Salman. What Rasulullah said, قال صدق Salman. Salman said the truth. Subhanallah. This beautiful hadith also teach us about the balance, that we have to establish the balance in the relationship even with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ثم أما بعد. And subhanallah, when you have this idea about the balance in every aspect of your life, whatever moral or physical, and let me give you some examples. For spending, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, يا بني آدم خذوا زينتكم عند كل مسجد وكلوا واشربوا ولا تسرفوا إنه لا يحب المسرفين. All children of Adam, take your adornment at every masjid and eat and drink, but not to exceed, or not be, but be not excessive. Indeed, he likes not those who commit excess. Don't overspend. Yani you eat and drink, but don't go beyond the limit. Don't break the balance. Don't spend too much. And subhanallah, when you think about this concept also, about just spending, how to be right in spending, and I know this happen all the time with our children. Especially before, every generation, the luxuries of life was little, or were little. Now it's increasing over time. Many things that we think they are important, but they are not important. And many times our children will tell us, I need this. I need this. And there is a difference between I need and I want. Okay? You don't need everything. Maybe you want it. Okay? And this is why in Islam they teach us الضروريات, الحاجيات, التحسينات. الضروريات, necessities. This is, if you don't have, life will be very difficult. This is why الضروريات, to preserve your deen is important to you. Otherwise we will die. In a moral concept, your aql is important to you. Your wealth is important to you. So this is the Riyat al-Khams they mentioned. Otherwise we will not be able to live. Then they have needs. And needs هو أن تحيا بمشقة. You will live with difficulty. For example, to have a car in Canada, it's not a necessity, but it's a huge need, especially in winter. It's very difficult. Your life will be very difficult, especially living in Oakville. Maybe in GTA, maybe in Toronto is much easier, right? So the car in some countries could be improvement, but in certain areas will be a need. Right? So subhanAllah, every area will have different needs. So we have to teach and raise our kids, and even ourselves, that we have to have three priorities, or three levels of needs. Necessities, that we have to have them, like a heating system in a house. Needs, like cooling system in summer. Let's say, no big deal, And then improvement. Many things that we use right now are improvement. And this is why people will have financial problems and they have a lot of struggle with their families, not because the first two, because the improvement. We don't need everything we have. So we have to be reasonable. And this is, again, the balance in spending. We have to maintain the balance in spending. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us in the Quran. Even they have a nice little story that two friends were walking in the market, and one of them noticed that his friend, his brother, all the time, everything he sees he buys, everything he sees he buys. فقال له أكلما اشتريت. And every time you have a desire to something, you buy it. You have to control yourself. And again, this is part of the balance. You give yourself, you give your family, you give your kids what really they need, and some improvement. There is no problem to have some good time or some enjoyment, but the enjoyment will not be. And again, you know, this happens all the time. You know, the kids come to the masjid, and we ask them the great question. They go to school, and we ask them the great question: did you have fun? And I think this is the wrong question. Kids don't go to the masjid to have fun. They go to the masjid to learn their deen. Kids don't go to the school or madrasa to have fun. No, to get educated. You know, but they need to have some fun in different aspects. They may have 1 hour at school for fun, fine. They may have something in the masjid for fun, fine. But the masjid is not for fun. Even sometimes I met one young man, and he said, I love this sheikh so much. And I asked him why. He said, because he's so funny. So the criteria to judge the sheikh now is he's funny or not. And what I learned, that the sheikh, based on his knowledge, his ilm, not his being funny or not. If you need to be, to have some fun time, watch a movie or something, halal movie, you know. Anyhow, the other point I want to mention about what we notice about especially election, but the main title is merging with the Canadian society, al-indimaj. Should we merge completely, or we should have a balance? We should know what we should get engaged with the Canadian society 100% and what we should not engage with. And again, not only in Canada, everywhere you go, not everything that happened in your society, whatever your country is, whatever your society is, you don't accept everything and you don't reject everything. What you do with this relationship, you make a balance. You balance your relationship for like political engagement, you know. In Canada, Muslims have to be involved 100%. And what you see, what's happening in US, 100% people has to be involved. And it's something, maybe we don't agree 100% with some ideas, okay? But people are free to choose the way of life they want. The same way we have the right to choose the way of life that we want. So we have to accept the freedom of people to choose. This is basic principle. But again, what we see for the last 2 days about the importance of one ballot, of your vote. People are counting, and every count and every vote is important. And subhanallah, I would think about the balance. Subhanallah, you have the balance yesterday, and they keep putting one paper, one count, and then little counts, they add up and they change the balance, they change the scale. So, and this is something as Muslims we appreciate, that people has the right to elect and select their leaders. This is very good, and we practice this many times in Islamic history. In the same time, we feel bad, and we encourage our Muslim brother in Muslim countries to have the same right to elect their leaders, not just drop on them because they belong to a certain family or certain group. And this is wrong. And it doesn't mean that you cannot stand and say the truth that you accepted. If you cannot stand and say the truth, sit down and don't say anything. If you want to stand up and say the truth. And if you are not able to say it, sit down, no problem, and keep silent. And even if we accept the wrongdoing, will not make it right. Say we are forced and we have to accept something, it doesn't make it right. Right and false, good and bad, will still good or bad, whatever people accept it or not, because it has another balance. Okay, so subhanallah, we have to be having this balance when we merging, when we dealing with other brothers and sisters living with us in Canada, whatever Muslims or non-Muslims. And even, you know, when I was talking to a brother the other day, and he said, you know, which one you prefer to elect? Who will, if you have the choice to elect? And I said, what I want, I will make just one dua. Whoever benefit mankind, people on earth, and whoever benefit the earth itself, may Allah give him victory. Not only for Muslim, for human. Because Islam is about and concerning about everyone. People don't know how much they are losing when we as Muslims don't tell them about the good values of Islam. Islam has a lot of solutions for people. And again, this is another balance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us in the Quran. My message today for myself and for you, have this idea of the balance all the time when you're dealing with every act in your life, with everyone in your life, with every relationship you have in your life, with the emotion you have with your children. Even you have to be, it has to be balanced. It have to be just be involved in the community in a balanced way. And you know when you proceed and when you stop. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to keep this balanced relationship with everyone, with Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, with ourselves and with our family. Allahumma allimna ma yanfa'una wanfa'na bima 'allamtana wazidna ilma. Allahumma ruddana wal muslimina ila dinika raddan jamila. Rabbana ighfir lana ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. اللهم يا رب العالمين يسر كل عسير وفرج وحرر كل أسير. اللهم ردهم إلى أهلهم سالمين غانمين. اللهم نسألك حبك وحب من أحبك وحب كل عمل يقرب إلى حبك. اللهم يا رب العالمين اغفر لآبائنا وأمهاتنا إلى أبينا آدم وأمنا حواء واهد ذرياتنا إلى يوم الدين. اللهم ول علينا من يصلح البلاد والعباد. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وقوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمكم. It's something